So today's presentation is on salary negotiation part two, the recruiter side. So some of you may have been there for the salary negotiation part one. That is where I went into the nitty gritty of how to successfully negotiate your salary, tips and tricks, how to do some research. This one, I went and I interviewed a couple different recruiters and I did some research as well that indicated their side of things, what they're viewing as your, basically their interpretation of your strategies. And we're going to have a couple practice opportunities as well. So I have the chat box open. So if you have any questions throughout this, do not hesitate to write in the chat. I'll be monitoring that throughout. Use the raise hand function or feel free to interrupt me at any point. I will be accepting questions the entire time. So in terms of our agenda, I'm going to go over what I asked the recruiters, what the recruiter responses were. We're going to have a little practice, a couple case studies, and some practice opportunities, and then any questions you might have about salary negotiation. And that could be stuff that was kind of covered in the first workshop or stuff from today. It can be all salary negotiation all the time. And like Ron said, I am a professional career counselor. I am also a previous hiring manager for multiple full-time roles and internship roles. So I am familiar with the salary negotiation side from the hiring manager perspective. That wasn't a nonprofit where I will say the leeway in terms of negotiation is not as high as it might be at a corporation. So it looked a little bit different, but I've negotiated myself for different jobs and I've sat on that side as well. So diving right in, here are the questions that I asked the recruiters. I asked, what does a typical salary negotiation process look like from their end? And what are the steps involved and how long does it typically take? Since when you ask, they then need to go ask a couple more people, etc. Tell me about your experience with someone who negotiated their salary well. What did they do? The opposite, who did not negotiate their salary well? What did they do wrong or not do? What are the most common mistakes candidates make when doing salary negotiation? What are your top 3 tips for candidates to be successful in salary negotiation? Do they have any pet peeves? And if there's any other random tidbits that I may have missed. So I talked to 2 different hiring managers from 2 different staffing agencies. One focuses on technical jobs, so hires for a variety of different companies focused on technical roles. The other works with the Richmond Group, and so hires for a variety of roles and different levels, but at a project manager level. So my first recruiter was a technical recruiter at Randstad. So she did give more insight, but this is kind of the hard hitters right here. So the process from a recruiting firm perspective is the client will extend the offer, the recruiter presents that to the candidate, and the recruiter will then counter for the candidate. So you are not going to be directly saying, hey, hiring manager, here's what I want to say. The recruiter will be the middleman for you. This is actually in your best interest because the recruiter wants you to get the job. It helps them get paid. The client is happy, so they want you to be successful. But they also want you to get the most money possible because that's what you want, that's what they want. So they are very intentional about giving you the inside scoop and tips that will help you. They'll tell you, hey, this number is a little too high versus, hey, I think that this is a good amount. This is still within their budget. They'll say yes to this. Or if they know there's no room for negotiation, they can say, listen, like I already asked this question and this is what happened. So let's discuss other benefits. So they are really excellent at helping them strategize with you. And like I said, let the recruiter do it if you can. That is the best possible person to advocate for you. They know the client a little better than you will because they've been working with them for longer. So having a recruiting firm can be really helpful for that specific element. If you're doing it obviously without a recruiter, then you're going to be the one doing it directly with the hiring manager. So I will just say, if you don't have the middleman, make sure that you yourself are strategizing before you walk in or have a friend that you can kind of do a brain dump with and figure out what's going to be the best. So her tips were come with reasons why you deserve more and examples of how the skills will directly impact the company. So this may seem obvious, but a lot of people come with salary negotiation and they're like, hey, thanks for the offer. Anytime or any chance I can get 150. And that's all they ask. You can't just ask for more money. You have to say why you deserve more money. So what are the specific reasons? And especially the company wants to know why you are better as a candidate for them than the other ones, how you're going to help make their lives easier. So the more you can directly relate it to the impact on the company, the better. The more likely they are to say, you're right, you do deserve that money. We want to keep you. So we're going to make sure we raise that. So just keep in mind that you do need to have the reasons in direct correlation to the company.